our inauguration exhibition of the year. My name is Marcos Dimas. I am the Executive Director of Taller Boricua, the Puerto Rican Workshop, and Taller Boricua was also involved in the initiative to have this building become Helen Culture Center. It was slated to become an AIDS shelter and then a homeless shelter, and we did the old school, and we demonstrated against Mayor Koch to have this become a cultural center. So anyway, that's the backstory. But this exhibition now was curated by one of our co-founders and directors, Ms. Nitza Tufino. I'm going to turn this over to her so we can get this ball rolling.
Audience for being here today and the artists for giving the time. I'm going to do something very briefly so everybody gets an idea of this exhibit. Dear friends and colleagues, it is an honor to be able to present these 5 artists who will speak about their work, ESSENTIA. I am particularly pleased that this exhibition has been well received. The excellence of these artists' work is the reason. I will briefly share a synopsis of their bio, also available on Boricua's website. I want to be able to have each artist explain their work, and I am sure that we are in for a very stimulating and enlightening discussion with these amazing women and colleagues. The majority I have known or worked with for 30 years. I will start with Pilar Cruz. She's a sculptor and direct educator of fine arts. She teaches as lecturer, educator of modern art and contemporary art at OMA Education Department, where she has been since 1994. In 2008, she joined the Drawing Center as a lecturer and educator with family programs, where she gives workshops about contemporary drawing. As an artist, she recently has 3 exhibitions of her sculptures: Seeing Double at the Buster Levy Gallery in November 2015, Retablos at the Marina Gallery in July 2012, and Clay Memories at Rio 2 Gallery, New York in April 2011. She also creates sculptural installations with collaborative concepts at Sanders Farms annually since 2008. She is a member of the Buster Levy Gallery, formerly the Marina Gallery, in 2010. Helen Evans Ramsaron is a sculptor and award-winning artist. Her present series of work addresses her growing concerns about the planet Earth and its atmosphere. Henley's series, Extinction, Signals of Alarm, include works created using white clay, comprising many tiny individual sculptures that have been aggregated to form one large piece. This method of working is meant to suggest the millions and billions of years of evolution of Earth, species of plants, animals, and marine life. Dominguez, artist, educator, art administrator, and former director of education at the Museo del Barrio, received her BSA degree from the School of Visual Arts in 1985, launching her as visual artist and muralist in New York City, and is a recipient of the National Endowment for the Arts, NESCA, and the New York Foundation for the Arts. She credits her internship as an intern for the City Arts Mural Workshop as a springboard to the creation of numerous community murals. She is particularly proud to have received the Metropolitan Transportation Authority Commission with the reviews of 2002. A mural that can be viewed at the Chelsea Street Station in Brooklyn. Dominguez's personal works have been included in numerous shows and group shows throughout the United States, Japan, Italy, and Africa. Marina Gutierrez is a multidisciplinary artist from New York City with a practice that combines community-based work, public and studio arts. Her works interweave historical, individual, ecological narratives often adapting folk forms and using post-industrial or recycled materials within the conceptual framework. Their ongoing Equa Memoriam series ranges from sculptural installation and video to interactive performances and the chemical precipitation of images using seawater. She recently exhibited in the Caribbean, Crossroad of the Well at the Queens Museum, New York City, Creole Factory at Parc de la Villette, Paris, at the Museo del Barrio, New York City, and creates a solo installation at Project Roadhouses, Houston, Texas. She is the recipient of the John Mitchell New York FA and Mid-Atlantic Fellowship. Swing Spaces, Governor Islands Residency, also a Rotunda Gallery, BCAT Multimedia Residency, and 2 New York City Arts Commission Design Awards for public projects in Harlem, the Julia de Burgos Center, and a Prospect Park Imagination Playground. Gutierrez is also co-author of Art Vision Voices, Cultural Conversations in Community. Robin Holder's work focused on issues of identity and culture. She has been featured in one-person exhibition at the Model Museum of Art, the Spelman College Museum and the David Driscoll, the American Labor Museum, and the North Carolina Central University Art Museum. She was also awarded an individual visual arts grant by the Brooklyn Arts Council and the interview for the Hash Phillips Artists and Influences Archive. She has been filmed by the Edu Correos, the Artists Archive, the New York Foundation for the Arts, The Point, and the Women's Gallery. The New York Foundation for the Arts, the Newtown Howler, WBAI, AMC-TV. She has completed several site-specific public art installations. Older is included in significant collections, including the Library of Congress, Con Edison, Zero Corporation, Yale University, the United Parcel Service, the Washington State Arts Commission, and the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. I want each artist to answer the following. Explain your work and explain to our audiences your process in creation of it. How does the work address the important issues of social and environmental justice and/or wealth and gender inequality? Please share any upcoming show or special events you will participate this year. Thank you. And at the end of the panel, then we will have questions by the audience. Thank you. Here we go, Robin.
Okay, so have any of you seen the exhibition downstairs? My work is the work that has the houses and the faces. It's speaking to the concept that we have as Americans that we are middle class, meaning that we can go shopping a lot, we can go on vacation, we can have an education, we can live comfortably, we can have a lot of free time to entertain ourselves, we can have health care and feel more or less safe because we're free Americans. And of course this is an absurd delusion, and I wanted to try to express what I sense in the more and more, particularly since the economic meltdown of 2008, is this sense of frustration and anxiety and confusion and depression that a lot of people have because they really just can't afford either with time or energy or money to have the middle class life that they believe they're entitled to. And I think most of us will agree that every aspect of the societal infrastructure, home, health, environment, relations between generations, relations between people in different industries, relations between people who are in different economic and educational stratas is sort of disintegrating. The educational system is completely in chaos, and I don't think that most people really feel that they have a whole lot to look forward to if they would just depend on the status quo or the formulas that they think they have in place as free Americans. So what I did was look around the internet for images of buildings in Detroit, because that sort of signified or symbolized the disintegration of the middle class, because Detroit, of course, was the center of the automobile industry, and starting with Ford, the whole concept of everybody who's a working person, and we're talking really about blue-collar workers, should be able to own their own car. And in the mid-20th century, this is a dream come true if you look globally at how people were living. So we all know that Detroit has gone bankrupt, the city has gone bankrupt, and I exhibited there a number of years ago and was driven around these neighborhoods with these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful homes. The architecture was just gorgeous and landscaped and just empty. You might see 1 or 2 houses occupied in 5, 6, 10 streets. And then I did some small color pencil drawings of people who are supposed to be suffering from some sort of sense of being ill at ease or uncomfortable or depressed or anxiety-ridden or confused. And this was one of my attempts to kind of intermingle something very, very personal and intimate, like a colored pencil drawing, which is something that I can do very fluidly. It's very close to hand, and something digital. So I got these images of buildings, and I took parts of buildings and sort of collaged them digitally with parts of other buildings and made up parts and kind of created a collage digitally of buildings and merged the faces. So that's the work that is showing downstairs. I don't know if Willie has the images up on the screen yet, but I'm really concerned about doing work that explores the conflicts of who we are. And oftentimes it'll be something that has to do with race or gender issues, how we feel as Americans.
That's actually one of mine.
This is Marina's, yeah. What do you want to talk about?
This is very old work.
No?
Okay, but Rob, the file you gave me, the red USB has on. I only see Marina Gutierrez. I don't see your file in there.
There's 2 flash drives.
The 2.
Oh, you just gave me one.
No, I gave you 2. I gave you Marina's here.
Which is the who has the red?
That's not mine.
Okay.
That's Marina.
So you have the blue one. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
So anyway, I often try to create work that is visually engaging, so that there's something seductive either in the colors or the forms or something that are very familiar and something that you want to embrace, and then embedded and hidden in there are a lot of very conflicted, painful realities. The work I'm doing now is based on, again, our identity as Americans, and I'm creating a work that represents each of our national holidays. And each piece is an item of clothing that I'm creating, sort of maybe 60% normal size. And I'm having a lot of fun with it because I'm collaging and printing and painting and sewing and figuring out how to create the patterns. But the idea is to have something that projects us, and clothing often is something that's projecting us. So I'm calling it our social skin. It's like what you put on your body is something that presents you or projects you, or a way of expressing yourself. So we don't have the... And I thought it was interesting because Nitza sent out a message saying, if you want to bring images of how you work, the way I read it was how you work. So I didn't really bring too many images of my actual work, but I brought images of my work, me creating the work, or work in process, or being exhibited, or being, you know, developed or fabricated. But sometimes I look at my work and I can't really believe how depressing it is. It's depressing, and that is why I am so happy to be exhibiting in a space with Anna's beautiful sculpture and Maria's healing imagery. So when you go into that room, you'll see that there are these three very distinct energies, and I feel very, very good about it. But I do a lot of research for my work. One of the series that I did had to do with outsourcing and child slave labor around the world, and I did a lot of research for it and found out that, okay, so this is one of the images from my first public art commission for the School Construction Authority, and it was a very large precast concrete plaza, and these, that's somebody else's. Is that yours, Marina?
Yes, it is.
No, okay.
That's the old line.
Okay.
Sorry.
So those big white shapes are big 4-inch thick pieces of styrofoam in the shape of animals that were plugged into the ground, and then concrete was installed around them, and then the styrofoam was removed, and these shapes, which are cast from wooden molds, are the parts of the animal bodies, and then those pieces were dropped into the open or negative spaces where the styrofoam forms were removed. So I think this kind of shows the end result. So this is PS5, it's at 200th Street, and Marina, I think you had something to do with the panel.
They had an artist set up to do it who fell through. And I got an emergency call, I think it was from Tom Girl at the time.
Yeah.
He said, who do you know who could do this? And I thought, Robin. Robin can do anything. She's got the business sense, she's got the aesthetic sense, but she had never done public work before. And it was a total surprise to you.
Yeah, which, in case you aren't really aware, until the School Construction Authority with Maureen Grinnan at the time got very involved in making sure that she reached out to artists of color, women artists, and artists who had never done sculpture. Public art was really a white boys club. That was it. So I got a call from the School Construction Authority saying, can you submit a proposal in 48 hours for a 6,500 square foot of concrete plus? I said, oh, sure. And they couldn't tell me anything about it. I didn't find out till way after that Marina had been involved with this, but it was very interesting because what you told me was that you were thinking that my work was based on shapes, and that since it was going to be concrete, that you thought that would be a natural transition. Now, this is a really interesting situation where it really required a stretch of thinking, because I was really not, I mean, I'm known as a printmaker, very intimate, works on paper, which has nothing to do with sculpture installations in most people's minds. So that was really because of your ability to see the potential and to really think about the ESSENTIA. So that was wonderful. I did later find out who had gotten the original commission and why they dropped out. And the reason they dropped out was because they didn't like the contract. So when I read the contract, which was something like 67 pages long, I didn't like either. So I went to Marina and I said, we have to change this. So they just added some addendums. But, you know, you get into these situations where as an individual artist, you're dealing with a lot of lawyers, a lot of engineers, architects, administrators, and it can be very daunting. I know in this situation, there were a lot of times where I was in a room full of like men, 12, 15 men. I was the only woman, the only person of color, and the only artist. And it was Steve who told me, babe, just go with donuts. every time you have to when I'm meeting with these guys, go with donuts. So this here is the pieces that the stencils were made for a, this was an Experimental Printmaking Institute commission for the Atlanta National Black Arts Festival Collectors Guild print. They had a Collectors Guild, and every year they would invite an artist to create an image, and EPI, which is housed at Lafayette College in Pennsylvania, uses their facilities and their master printers to print a silk screen. So this one was called, if you just back up, They Damaged Us More Than Katrina. And it was those days, I'm sure if anybody was alive and conscious during those times, was caught up in the, I don't even know what to say about that, but I spent maybe 5 days just screaming and cursing and crying, and I was just creating this image and just trying to find a way to voice what I thought was the whole reality of it. And then finally I realized that the title would be really pivotal. So it took me quite a long time to figure out how to word the title, and it ended up being They Damaged Us More Than Katrina. And you could move on along. This is some of the work at the Mobile Museum of Art, which was an interesting situation because this is in Alabama, and one of the series in this exhibition was about my childhood growing up as what they call now a biracial person. And the guards in the museum told me, because I stayed there for about a week, and there were workshops and conversations and schmoozing and receptions. But one day I was in the museum just kind of walking around. It wasn't open at that time to the public. And one of the guards said to me, Miss Holder, we want you to know that we're working here all the time and we got your back. So they touched me because they knew more about the art than all of the other people, because they stand around and they look at the work. So when I got home, I got the names of all of the security staff and the custodial staff, and I sent them each a small little miniature piece of work, because I just felt like nobody thinks about the guards. Nobody really realizes how much they know and what they sense and what they feel. So this was kind of like really high profile. There's my work, the fan, which I'm always flashing. You see I have a fan. And so I had that fan is called Hot Flash, and the pieces on the right are from my Obama series. Those are the minute that we found out that he had won the election, and then from the time that he won the election to the time he was inaugurated, I made 6 pieces. So Willie can move. And this is part of an installation of birds that was done in an unusual space, and one of the opportunities I had to just kind of do something that was fun. So these are all printed, and some have foil stamping on them, and this was their the guys installing the work at 1 East 53rd Street. It's a building that houses a lot of arts organizations, including the Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts, up the street from MoMA. You can keep going, Willie, so I don't want to take too much time. And so that's the final installation. Yeah. You can go. This is the crew installing I did these windows for the MTA, and there was 34 windows, and the windows have messages in them because all of the shapes and the patterns are from hobo signs from Sweden and England, Canada, the United States, and Native Plains American Indians. So there's a key in the station that tells you what shapes mean what. So the windows say things like, mad dog around the corner, there's a river up the hill. So the whole idea was to just kind of give an idea that you're on the subway, you're going through neighborhoods, you're passing through different environments, and certainly in the New York City subway, you're passing through many worlds. And this is a chance that I got to do something that was non-figurative. You know, I have to say, like professionally, I fall through the cracks a lot because sometimes people say my work is semi-abstracted, sometimes they say it's figurative, and this was one of those opportunities where I had some fun and I could do something that was completely non-figurative and had a kind of sense of movement. So Willie, and this is in my studio working on the outsourced series. Keep going, Willie. This is, these are the finished pieces of some of the outsourced pieces, those 3 in the back. And I believe this is from an exhibition at the David Driscoll Center in Maryland. And those tools, freeform tools, are part of that same series, and this is at 1199. 1199 is the only union, as far as I understand, that has a gallery. And it's on 43rd Street, so that was the opening of an exhibition there. And this is that's the autobiographical series I mentioned before. And this is Spelman College Museum. So this is all about the Ku Klux Klan and demonstrating and being called a nigger as a child and being the only brown-skinned kid in the class forever, and then not knowing who capital H-E was when I went to church with my cousin, because my parents were communists. So, and this is my studio, and these are some portraits of my high school classmates, my etching press, my foil printer, and if you just turn the corner, Steve is over there drawing, but you can't see him. Next picture. That's another part of the studio with the drawing table and all kinds of memorabilia, reminding me of how fabulous I am. And you can go to the next one. And that's just printing. Usually when I'm working, I have little bits and pieces all over, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it work. Sometimes I have an idea already sort of formed in my head about what I'm going to do, and sometimes I don't. I just sort of spontaneously feel my way through. So I think that's enough of me. I'm going to give you the mic.
Thank you. That's a tough act to follow, but I'm going to give it my best. Thank you for coming, my friends that are here, my old friends, my new friends, Nitza, Marcos, and Julia de Burgos. I'll go to my website because I got home very late, and I started to burn things and they all look mishmash. So I said, I'll just go to my website and really will assist me here. Okay, I'll stand up. I want to see what I'm doing. Willie, let's go back to the scroll and go back to public. Go back to the scroll, public. Public, to your right. To your right, to your right, Maria Dominguez, public. Maria Dominguez, public. Public? Okay, public. To the right. Public, to your left. Yay! So let's go to murals because I like your presentation, how you started in community, and I started in community. In this case, these are my collaboratives. In this case, I did these with the kids here in East Harlem. I think it's the Amber School, which is on 106th Street. And the first one on the top where the thumb is at, we did it together. We did this together. The children in this school in particular, they wanted to make a statement about the earth, their environment, how we were losing it. And there were only like fourth graders, fifth graders, and we just sat down for about 3-4 weeks. We came up with concepts. And the piece right now is on 106th Street and Lexington Avenue. And these are the older ones. So if we scroll down to the bottom, this one's in the South Bronx or the West Bronx. Same thing happened. The people in the South Bronx were going to this clinic and it was always targeted. So as the people are coming in and out, we were taking pictures of them, asking them what would they like to see instead of graffiti. And in some cases, we just took pictures of them, and those you'll see at the bottom, and added them to the wall. So just by using them as their own, how do you say, portraits, somehow the wall did not get attacked as much. Okay, this one coming in here, the bottom one with the flower over the lady's head. Same thing, I was called in to do a collaborative with women from abused backgrounds. And what these women did, together, we started talking about what would they like to see at home that would change and in their environment, so that they could reflect it on a mural in their office. And because it's so tiny, we can't see it, but we're trying to envelope inside the sphere of family, the faces of the women with hope. After we completed that mural, which was about, we're not going anywhere. Okay, we're going to Women Pursue Justice. Don't go, Willie. This one is done with art makers, a group that I've been since 1980, 85. We wanted to demonstrate all the women that have made an impact in American history somehow. We have Shirley Chisholm on the horse. We have, in my case, I selected Dolores Huerta. I also selected Nidia Velasquez. It took about 2 months, 17 women, and 5 teenagers to complete the mural. It's still up. Unfortunately, it's going to come down because of water damage, which we can't help and we can't do it all over again. So it's still there. It's on Green and Nostrand in the Bed-Stuy area. If we scroll to the bottom, Willie. This one is here on 107th Street inside the Health Plus, I think. There's a clinic on 107th. I created the mural, the clinic moved out. However, the new clinic that moved in said, we have to come back, you have to fix this mural. Because I took pictures also of the people coming into the clinic and putting them on the wall. Turned out that sometimes wheelchairs used to go around the mural and we used to scrape it. So then they called me back and they said, come fix the mural, we want to keep it up. I'm thinking it's still up. Okay. This one was done a million years ago, where the Manhattan TV Networks is at on 103rd, the old firehouse on 103rd Street, 104. Well, now it's in at Manhattan Cable TV.
Manhattan Neighborhood Network.
So it was empty for almost, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah.
And as the museum educator, they kept saying, we have this wall, we need it to be painted over because it's just a red wall. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the building was falling apart from the roof down. Mm-hmm. So while I was in the education department, I went to the summer youth employment program and asked to send teenagers down. With the teenagers, we went around researching El Barrio. We created panels representing each area of El Barrio, which was Taller Boricua, the Museo del Barrio, the Conservancy, and that one came down about maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and it's now Manhattan Cable. All right, Willie, if we could go back to, let's see what projects, go to the commission. Go to the commission. Public commission. Public commission. Public commission. Public commission. 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 Okay. From the public works that I did, it ultimately led to the MTA Commission, which is on Chauncey Street, on the J line. And in this case, what I did, I actually went into the community, took pictures again of the people in the community. Scroll down, Willie. Took pictures of the community, and each image, all the way down, of each image, I created a painting. I went home and created a painting. So right here, side by side, there's a painting in the bottom and the actual glass on top. The first row is glass, and the second row is the actual paintings. Not all of them click up. Not all of them click up, don't worry, Willie. So it was 16 panels, 16 images of the local community, which then got transformed into really beautiful glass. Also on the same line that Robbins is at, hers is on Lorimer. Where are you? Marcy? Flushing. Mine is on Chauncey. But if you take the train on the J line and you start from all the way from Marcy and you travel all the way to Broadway Junction, where it ends up with Al Loving's work, which is masterful. It's really masterful. Okay, so from a very public person to a very, very private person, and if we go to healers now, go back up, Willie. Let's go to studio, healers, collage, collage. During this time when I was still doing works in the public, very personal situation happened at home. My mother was getting older, she needed more of me, and more of my time started going to taking care of business at home. And that's when the collages started. I had all this paper, I didn't have time to go to the studio and paint all day long, or not all day long, whenever I could. I started doing small pieces of torn paper, building on collages, building on paintings. So this whole series of torn paper, like just tearing the old, starting new, was my healing. I became the healer. So who healed me? I healed myself by just tearing stuff up, putting it back together, creating images, just to keep my mind free, or at least pacified until I went back to my mom, who I think I took care of for almost, maybe about 7, 8 years, and then ultimately she passed. But it was a way of me. I saw myself as the healer. I healed myself through creating the collages, which ultimately last year, or 2014, scroll up, Willie, to another set of healers, which then I felt already 7-8 years had gone by, now I saw healers in women, how women deal with healing differently than men, how they touch other people through any way they can. But in this case, I was just having fun and saying, women are healers, we are healers. And in the one on top, Willie to the left hand, no, keep them healers. I finally put an actual face of a healer, and I chose Julia de Burgos. Click on it. And I finally chose Julia de Burgos, and I felt with her poetry, I chose one of her poems, Rio Grande. I chose her poem to inspire me to actually do a woman with her own face. Through her poetry, she heals. And when we go downstairs later, we'll see then I included another painting of another healer who is Sandra Maria Esteves, and I know you all know. And downstairs in the gallery, you'll get to see her face and another healer. Thank you for coming and thank you for listening.